In this chapter, we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of the other important modules for making sure that we have the exact design that we need. And these are going to be called layout templates. So let's just go ahead and dive in. Layout templates are what allow us front-end developers to control the layout of the actual pages themselves. So if the theme is responsible for giving us that global design, branding, look and feel that we need, it's going to be our layout templates that determine the grid-like structure on the actual page where we can place content, and we can also place widgets. So we have a number of layouts out of the box. You can actually see these when you're configuring a page. And these layout templates take advantage of the Bootstrap 12-column grid system, okay? So that's how we can actually determine the size of our different columns on our pages. We can set any number of rows and columns, and it's also going to be fluid, which means it's going to be responsive with our content on the page. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we would actually create these using the tools that we have available to us. All right. We can go ahead and run that Yo Liferay theme layout command. So this is another generator for us. And what this does is it allows us to determine the name, the ID, and then we can actually build our layouts using this tool without necessarily having to touch code at all. All right, this tool allows us to do things like add rows, insert rows, determine columns, we can remove rows, and we'll actually see a graphic representation of our layout where we can determine to save it and then deploy it like we would with a theme. So this is a really fast way to generate new layouts, to get the exact design we're looking for using that 12-column grid system, and then deploy our layouts to the platform. Now, if we do want to go ahead and take advantage of looking at the code and making some modifications, perhaps adding some classes so that some of our layouts have some special designs, you can open up the TPL source file. And this is an example of what you would see from the Porygon theme, which is one of our other marketplace themes that you have available to you in Liferay. The way this breaks down is we have our div structure. We have some classes here that are going to give us the name and also determine whether it's a column or a row. So we can see here that this has a few columns that we have to work with, and we're using those column mid classes, so column, medium, 2, 4, and 4, and these are going to be representing that grid structure from Bootstrap. And of course, 2, 4, 4 is going to require an additional 2, so we have those full 12 columns from the grid system, okay? So this is what it would look like. We have that processor process column, which is important for processing the actual classes and giving us the layout that we expect, all right? So the three things that really make up our layouts here are the ID, the process column variable, and those Bootstrap classes. So it breaks down relatively easily, okay? And of course, like I mentioned, you can add your own classes if you'd like as well to provide specific sort of designs for one of or a few of the columns. And this can interact with your theme as well. If a theme has a class that is being styled a certain way, and in the layout you've given that class and both of them are deployed and applied to a site, they're going to, of course, interact. Now there are, of course, some classes that are required to be used in a layout. And of course, if you're using that graphical editor, you don't necessarily need to worry about this. It's just going to generate this all for you, okay? We have, of course, the Bootstrap Grid classes. That's going to determine, again, that size of the columns. All right, we have the Portlet Column class. This is required for all of the column containers that needs to be set in that processor. And we have the Portlet Column first and the Portlet Column last. And these need to be identified in the first and last columns in any given row. If a row is only made up of one column, there is the Portlet Column only class that should be included as well. Okay, so again, if you're using that graphic editor, it's going to automatically apply these for you. But if for some reason you want to go ahead and either modify the source or create it from scratch yourself, you can go ahead and make sure that these classes are included. All right, and just like the theme, we can actually go ahead and embed widgets and content into our layouts as well. Now, the benefit of this is we would be able to include those widgets in a specific layout so that they're not rendered on every single page. So that's one benefit. The other benefit is that we can embed a widget in the actual content section of the page itself rather than anywhere around it. So this is something that you could do using the theme runtime function, and then you just need the ID. Or you can use the processor process portlet, where you can identify the class name and the action for whatever widget you want to have displayed. So here's an example of using the theme runtime method to embed the login widget. We just simply have theme.runtime, and then we have the ID of the widget we want to embed. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up, and then we can create some layouts together. So we know that layout templates allow us to set rows and columns. We can go ahead and create those using our Liferay theme generator. There are some layouts out of the box that we can take advantage of, but of course we can create our own custom layouts to use as well. Layouts can have any number of rows with up to 12 columns per row, okay? Again, using that Bootstrap Grid system. And we can go ahead and embed widgets into any of the rows or columns if that's something we decide to do as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we can generate some of these together using the Liferay theme generator for the Livingston Hotels and Resorts. All right, let's get started.